Being from Texas, the NFC East is the most talked about division in football. One of the worst divisions in football also, if I might add, when you look at where they finished last season and are drafting. Home to the Dallas Cowboys, a team that you either love or hate here in Central Texas. Lucky for me, Dallas Cowboys did not have a good season last year, and I got to enjoy it. Now, I'm Emery Cuzzy. This is the Rough Draft Podcast, and we're continuing our 3-round mock. Of course, that's a little shot at my buddies and my friends, but if you are a Dallas Cowboys fan, I actually really love the draft that they could have this year. A lot of options, a lot of movement, a lot of fun stuff that they could do. If you haven't yet, go check out the other divisions that we've done for this series. Also, if you like this content, please like and subscribe. It goes a long, long way. Also, comment how you felt about these drafts and if you agree or disagree with what I did. To remind you of the structure of this, we're going to be doing 3-round mock drafts. We'll be using the first and 10 mock draft simulator. No trades allowed. We will analyze each pick based on how the board fell. And our goal is to show different scenarios in this whole thing. The NFL draft is never perfect, right? You have a lot of guys that bust, a lot of guys that go earlier than consensus and unexpected. You have mock drafters that have no idea what they're doing because at the end of the day, they go 4 for 32. That's a possibility because every year you look at these teams and you decide, oh, they have to go with this guy. That's the only guy that makes any sense. And they go somewhere to something completely different. Every single year that happens. So what I want to do is I want to give you 3 different scenarios for these teams and what they could do based on how the board falls to them. Now, the NFC East was full of downs last season. In 2024, they had 2 teams make the NFC Championship game. Last season, the best finish was Philly, and they lost in the wild card round. Can they bounce back? That's the real question. And it all starts here with the draft, now that free agency's over and everything like that. So let's go ahead and attack the draft. I'm going to share the screen. We're going to be using, like I said, the first and 10 mock draft simulator. Really, really cool tool. If you haven't watched any of my videos yet, go check it out because they have a free agency tracker. They have big boards all the way through 2028 with prospect analysis and everything you look for. Simulators that we're using today, tools, trade calculators, prospect evaluators, and all the fun stuff. They also have games and stuff. So go check this thing out. It's really cool. It's the best simulator on the planet right now. We're going to be doing Dallas, New York, the Giants, Washington, and Philly, the NFC East, and then we're going to be doing 3 rounds. Let's get it going. We'll talk about each of these teams. We're going to draft different positions for every pick. So in this first one, the Giants are up first. Whoever we pick here, we can't pick in the next 2 drafts. And we're going to try to switch the positions up as much as possible. Now, starting it off, a lot of people are going Sonny Styles. Now, I know a lot of people also are fighting that back against that because Micah McFadden, he hasn't been that good, but he's also the same build and everything. So everybody's like, oh, Micah McFadden is just Sonny Styles. Like, stop putting him here. I'm also in the camp that Sonny Styles is such a good football player that you just draft him. He is our number 2 player on our big board and a blue chip player for us. But that's something we could do. I think cornerback is an option because Deonte Banks hasn't been very good. He was a first rounder for them. Paulson Adebo from the Saints came over, but Greg Newsome's only on a 1-year deal. I definitely think corner will be an option. I think there's good corners in the second round. You could also make that case. So if you don't want to go first round corner, that's a possibility. I think adding to this defense of line is kind of arbitrary because you already have Abdul Carter. He's actually behind Kayvon Thibodeau. I think they could get rid of Kayvon Thibodeau. It could be in this draft for all I know. And then Brian Burns, Chauncey Golston, there's good players at their edge spots. Darius Alexander was a rookie last year, so you give him another year. Dexter Lawrence, I don't know what's going to happen with him. He might be gone. He might be a trade. You might get another first-round pick out of Dexter Lawrence this year, so we'll see. So it's one of those things where there's a lot of question marks who could be traded off of this team, but good football players on their defense, and then on offense, they have to do something on their O-line. Adding a right tackle behind Jermaine Illuminor that could play guard is an option, so you could go Spencer Fano or Francis Mauigoa here, and then move them to tackle after Jermaine Illuminor's contract's up. So they have to fix this offensive line. They got to keep Jackson Darts up and down. Cam Scadaboo, of course, was injured. So I've heard some rumbles about Jeremiah Love going here. I'm nowhere near that train, but sure, whatever. And then Darnell Mooney, Isaiah Hodgins, Calvin Austin came in. None of that really moves me. They could go wide receiver here. So we'll probably go wide receiver, cornerback, and Sonny Styles at one point in these 3 drafts. Just kind of putting that out there on how their team is set up and stuff. Sonny Styles being on the board, Ruben Bain and David Bailey being on the board too is fun, but obviously you're not going edge. But I'm just saying, them still being on the board here at 5, that's going to be good value for some other people. Let's go Sonny Styles. And for this next pick, Dallas. Sorry. I apologize. Too early. Washington here. Washington has some issues. They have a wide receiver issue. Jaden Daniels has to stay healthy. That's always important. They could go another running back. They did bring in Rashad White. Jerome Ford, Jeremy McNichols, and Ja'Cory Crossing-Mary are all truly running back 3s in my opinion. You need a true guy. If Jeremiah Love was on the board, he would be an option here for sure. Adding wide receiver, Traylon Burks is not that guy, just being honest. And they really don't have a bunch of guys. A lot of these players behind Traylon Burks are all going to be free agents after the season. Chico came in to replace, oh my gosh, why am I blanking? I can see him, Zach Ertz. And so that was, their new replacement for him. This offensive line is actually pretty good. You're not really looking to upgrade this offensive line, which is cool. So you have both of the tackles of the future. You just extended Laramie Tunsil, like good group there. And then on defense, they had the 32nd ranked defense. This defense isn't very good. Jerzon Newton, second round draft pick, hasn't done well. I was high on him, so it's really sad for me. Jerome Payne, Javon Kinlaw, Javon Kinlaw, 15th overall, hasn't really done it. They did sign Owe, but all of their other edges, including Dorrance Armstrong, K'Lavon Chaisson, and Amenahu, are all one-year deals, or Dorrance Armstrong's on the last year of his deal, but they're all one-year deals, so they'll all be gone next year unless they re-sign them. So that's something you could add. You could add an edge here, which is something we might do. Leah Chenal comes in. Frankie Louvu, pretty good linebacker duo there. I'm a fan of Nick Cross. He makes a lot of tackles. I'm a big fan of Mike Sanderson and Mika Robertson. I'm a Raiders fan, so I like Mika a lot. Quan Martin. So this isn't a bad secondary. So really, we're going to be looking at edge first. Defensive line, if you want to. I'm not going to go there this early, obviously. And then wide receiver and running back are positions I think they need. So let's start off with going edge. David Bailey being on the board here. I don't think he will be. Let's just be honest. He's actually got the best odds to go number 2 overall. So we're going to be taking him if he's here. And we're going to be getting an edge that's going to be 2028 edge, 2027 starting edge. I don't think he'll start this year with the guys that they have there, but he will be a rotational player playing as a DPR, hopefully getting stronger so he can play the run better. Next up is the Dallas Cowboys. They have to have defense fall to them. That is the trick, right? And the bad thing is we can't move in this draft. I told you there's no trading. So in all the drafts that I ever do with Dallas where there are ability to trade, I will be trading them around. Either I get here and I'm like, hey, I have to move back because I do not want to reach on a defensive player, or I'm going to move into the top 10 and make sure I get a defensive player. So because there's no defensive players here, except for Jermon McCoy, we have to go Jermon McCoy. That's how I feel about it. Like, there's no other option. Now, I'm high on Jermon McCoy. Jermon McCoy is probably the highest player left on the board. Yeah, he's 4th for us on our big board. I was not worried about the ACL. He's going to be 20 months removed when the season starts on his ACL. Almost 2 full years. So I believe that Jermon McCoy can play right away. And he ran a 4.38 or even better at his pro day. So 4.38, yeah. I'm in on him. He's my favorite corner in this class. He's almost a blue chip player for us. If he is healthy, he's got the best tape. His 2024 tape is just the best tape. So we're going to go there. Now, wow, Dallas, man. Y'all lucky sons of guns. Okay, so as this board falls, we go with Jermon McCoy. We add the corner depth. I haven't actually shown y'all what they need. They need defense. Whatever defense you want, go ahead and pick it. Edge is an option. I know they have Donovan Ezraku and Rashawn Gary. Rashawn Gary is not a legit pass rusher at this point in his career. Sam Williams, hopefully he figures it out. And he's a serviceable player. I think he's a good player. I just wonder if he'll ever take a step and become a true solid edge rusher as a pass rusher, but we'll see. Their linebacking core, I think they could add some juice. I'm not a Shamar James fan. I'm not a Maurice Bowie-Fowl fan. They don't have a good linebacker. Let's just be honest. Now, if I moved around, with trading, I could get a good linebacker in the early second, but because I can't do that, I will not be doing that, obviously. That makes it harder, but so you have to stick and pick. Now, they went cornerback. It makes me think that they're going to put Deron Bland back at nickel, which I think makes sense. Kobe Durant's on a 1-year deal. They added some safeties here, so I'm not really worried about their safety group, even knowing the best player on the board is a safety. So we're going to go, most likely, we went cornerback. We're going to go edge here. It's going to be Akeem Mesidor. I've seen people pick Akeem Mesidor at 12 to Dallas. He is pro-ready, and I think, he truly is the better pass rusher than Rashawn Gary at this point. I think Rashawn Gary could even play your 4-eye and retract into that, defensive end spot in their 3-4. So that might be something they decide to do on pass rush downs, because I think, Akeem Mesidor is pro-ready right now. And what is, Kenny Clark going to do? Quentin Williams has to stay on the field, but what is Kenny Clark going to do as a pass rusher? Not that much. So let's put Akeem Mesidor on this team. I think he's the best option. Dylan Thieneman goes right after that. He was the best player on the board. So Philly's up on this spot. Philly, we haven't talked about them yet. They've got a good team, right? AJ Brown, though, that is an influx situation. He might be traded in this draft. He's probably going to go for a 2nd or a 3rd, I think is what they got him evaluated at, but we'll see. Oh, my dog, he is sleeping. Hey, buddy, you're okay. But yeah, so I think, AJ Brown's an option. To replace here, they have Hollywood Brown that they brought in, though. They could believe in, maybe Johnny Wilson stepping up or Elijah Moore stepping up, but I think they probably want another wide receiver, not this early, in my opinion. All of their tight ends are on a 2027 free agent Dallas Goedert came back for a year, Grant Calcaterra for a year. All these guys are 2027 free agents, so they're going to go tight end at some point. I gave them a tight end in our most recent mock in the second round, I believe, so it's an option there. They could go ahead and get a right tackle of the future behind Lane Johnson. There are some guys that make some sense, and they're pretty good at like drafting for the future. So I think they might be willing to do that. On the defensive side of the ball, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, really good. Moro Ojomo, and Ty Robinson. I think it's a really good group up there. They could add another nose tackle, and that would be later on, in my opinion, in like the third round. And then they brought in Zach Bond and Jahad Campbell. I mean, that's just whatever. That's so good. They do need, though, another edge rusher. I think Nolan Smith and Jalen Hunt are good. Jalix Hunt are good, but they don't play the run the same way that some of the edge rushers will on these teams. And so maybe adding an edge rusher that can play on first and second down and then bringing in these guys and, having more of a rotation. I know they brought in Arnold Ebiketie and Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, but I'm not huge fans of those guys. There's a reason they were brought in and didn't stay on the teams they were with before and didn't get paid huge deals. So that's just how I feel. Reek Woolen got brought in on a 1-year deal, so they could go corner if they want a backup to him, but I think that's a later pick than this. They have Andrew Makuba. I think that safety is definitely going to be something they look at because Reed Blankenship's not there anymore. If Dylan Thieneman was here, he would be the automatic pick. That is not a question to me, so we're going to do something else, obviously. Tight end, Kenyon Sadiq's gone. Edge, you could go, I don't even know who's at the edge spot that's left. I think TJ Parker, and I put TJ Parker to them every time, and I've actually gotten some comments. I'm like, about it, and people not liking it. I'm like, dude, he can cover better than y'all are giving him credit for. So just saying, putting that one out there. They could go, okay, so if A.J. Brown is traded, Casey Concepcion would make some sense. What'd I say? They could go with another interior defensive lineman. I think they're probably going to go with the position that's a little bit more impactful right now. So it's either Casey Concepcion to me or TJ Parker. They could go Lumu too, I guess. But let's go Casey Concepcion and just expect that A.J. Brown won't be on the team, basically. Now, the Giants, they picked Sonny Styles first, so they could go in a lot of different directions. Colton Hood's still on the board. I really like Colton Hood. Let's see. They could do a lot of things. Wide receiver, Malik Neighbors tore his ACL, so you could go wide receiver here. I don't know what wide receivers are on the board. Chris Bell, he also just tore his ACL, and I picked him to them a while back. That's scary. I think we're going to go Colton Hood and give them another outside corner. I like him a lot. I like Colton Hood a lot, and he makes a lot of sense. Oh, but they could go Maxi Honachor. I didn't see him there. He can't play guard, though. That's the difference. He can't really help you right now. He's going to be more of a wait until Jermaine Illuminor is gone. So let's go with Colton Hood. With Colton Hood on this team. Who is next? Dallas? No, Dallas has no more picks until the third round. So Philly went with Casey Concepcion. Now, Malachi Lawrence being here on the board, he's not that great against the run. That's fun. Like I said, they need a run defender. R. Mason Thomas will not go this late. That is just the truth. R. Mason Thomas isn't going this late, so he's definitely an option. I think they could go tight end in the third round. Not a Eli Stowers fan this early. Even I don't care what he did at the combine. He's a line. He's not a tight end anyways. He's a wide receiver. So take that with a grain of salt. Yeah, let's go R. Mason Thomas because he shouldn't be here. Okay. In Philly again. I don't remember who they traded this with, but they have a pick at the beginning of the third round. They have gone edge and wide receiver. I don't think they need interior offensive line. Not center for sure. They need like a guard. Max Clare. All right. Well, am I going to use my Max Clare trump on the first draft? Oh, gosh. I have to, I guess. But we won't be picking Max Clare for this team again, even though I think he's the perfect pick here. I've actually picked him for this team in our 2-round mock, and I don't care. Like, he's just such a good football player. And he's going to replace Dallas Goedert or Grant Calcaterra as a 1A, 1B tight end. They love 2 tight end sets. He's definitely going to be better than Grant Calcaterra. So, Max Clare. Washington went David Bailey earlier. They could go wide receiver here. I think wide receiver is probably the position we're going to look at. Skylar Bell. Oh, man. Skylar Bell opposite Terry McLaurin would be a lot of fun. And Antonio Williams. It kind of drops off after that. I'm higher on Ted Hurst and Deion Burks than even Skylar Bell, but I don't think the NFL is. So, what else do they need? D-line, or edge, I guess. They need edge. See what edges are on the board. Derek Moore. I love Derek Moore. But I don't know that they'll do it. Let's go ahead and go Antonio Williams. Who's their slot? Luke McCaffrey. Treylon Burks. Okay, so they need the outside role. Let's go ahead and go. Let's go Skylar Bell. Wow, that's a lot of picks. All right, there's only 11 in this draft. I didn't realize. So Dallas didn't have a second rounder, so they have to wait until the third round. You're hoping and praying that there's a linebacker here at this point because truly that's the position I wish I could have picked for them. Oh, man, that's pretty gross. Yeah, there's not. Keyshawn Elliott is not going to be that low. That's crazy ranking for him. I also like Justin Jefferson, but he's not going to be Dallas's player. Bryce Betcher. Oh, man. Okay, so we're not going linebacker. That's cool. Let's go find another position. Could go, I mean, they right tackle, but there's no tackles at this point. Wide receiver doesn't make sense. Hold on, let me go look. Let me go make sure I understand what the heck's going on here. So this is why they have to move around, guys. It just doesn't make sense otherwise, because they need linebacker, and linebackers will be gone. Is there a nickel that makes sense? If you don't, who did I pick? Jamal McCoy? So, yeah, it's not even going to work. This is tough. Made it tough on myself because I'm not trading. Who's going to play tackle? Oh my gosh. Okay. What about their offensive line interior? TJ Bass. I think it's okay. Tyler Smith, Tyler Guyton. I was going to say Tyler Smith starting there and Tyler Guyton. Okay. So yeah. It's just right tackle on their line. And they're not going to go, well, I don't know what the heck's going to happen to George Pickens. He's going to be a drama queen, I bet. Let's go find a interior defensive lineman that makes some sense for them. I think Chris McClellan makes some sense for them. He's a freak of nature. What do they have on their defensive line? I know they've got, obviously, Quentin Williams, Kenny Clark. He's getting older. Could replace him. I think that they probably need a space eater like a Tim Keenan. Yeah, let's go Tim Keenan. Man, Dallas, you're tough if you don't trade. Damn. Okay, Philly. They went wide receiver, edge, and tight end so far. I think safety is the position that I missed out on. I don't know what I was doing. They have to go safety at one point in this draft. So let's go look at the safeties. And they're not that pretty. Okay. I'm a big fan of VJ Payne. He will not go 175th. That is way too far in my opinion. So he would be there next round if we were doing it based on this mock draft simulator. But at the same time, I think VJ Payne is a really good football player. He's a top 100 player for us. We're going to go VJ Payne. Okay, so Dallas is tough because if they don't move around, Tim Keenan has got to be their guy, right? So I think if they need to move off of one of these picks so that they can get a linebacker. Now, we could also make the case, next draft to reach on a linebacker at 20. I'm not against that. I think that is one of the things that they won't do, but we can say that they're going to be moving and getting that guy anyways. And then the Giants get two of my favorite players in the class. Sonny Styles is our number 2 player. Colton Hood is 24th on our big board, so they went up. They also don't have a third rounder, so less picks in this one. Philly, Casey Concepcion. We don't know what's going to happen with A.J. Brown, so he's going to take over for them, basically. R. Mason Thomas, Max Clare. R. Mason Thomas to help with that, pass rush / playing the run a little bit at the outside linebacker spot. Max Clare. All of their tight ends are free agents, and then VJ Payne because we have to pick a safety. We're going to pick safety earlier for them next time. That's on me. And then Washington, we got David Bailey and Skylar Bell. So good picks for everybody. It's a really short draft because 2 teams only have 2 picks. But let's go on to the second one. We are going to be picking Giants first. Giants on the last one picked Sonny Styles. So I'm not picking Jeremiah Love. I will refuse it. I'm okay with going with wide receiver or corner. Let's go wide receiver because I think they could do that. We're going to go Carnell Tate to be opposite Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors coming off the knee injury and giving you a different type of player than I think you have in Malik Neighbors. So Carnell Tate. Now, Washington, we went with, who did we go with? Jeremiah Love's here, so that's who we're going with because he's the guy that I was hoping would be here. But I can't remember who we went with off the top of my head. Ruben Bain because not Ruben Bain. David Bailey because he fell. So we're going to go Jeremiah Love. Jeremiah Love is my perfect pick for Washington if he's here. It's not a question in my mind that, they have a good O-line. That's the biggest issue with like Tennessee taking him or the Giants taking him. Their O-lines aren't very good and they have holes at other spots. Washington, in my opinion, they either need to go defense or they need to go the most talented offensive player in the class. So Jeremiah Love, Jaden Daniels, and Terry McLaurin, like Jesus. And then also they have the O-line to support it. They have an O-line ready to have, help Jeremiah Love become a true guy. So I'm going Jeremiah Love. He's the top offensive player on the board. He's number 2 on this rankings. He's actually, let's see who's left. He's number 6 for us, but that's not because I dislike him. I just have him in a different tier than some of the other running backs of the past drafts. Next up is going to be Dallas. What did we do here? We could go right tackle. I'm sure one of my buddies would love that. We went Jermon McCoy last time. No one fell to us, of course, which is always the best thing because Jermon McCoy is the one that fell to us again. So, oh man, not going corner. There's no linebacker here. There's no edge I want to reach on here. Technically, it would be Akeem Mesidor. So we're not doing that if we did that at 20. So we're going to go right tackle, and we're going to get Spencer Fano, who is a 5-position flexible player. Dallas fans might hate me for this, but I don't care. He can play any of these spots, all 5 of them. And on top of that, so if someone gets hurt, he goes in no matter where it is. And when Terrence Steele's contract is up, who they overpaid, he will take over. So I have friends that would actually love that pick, and then I have people that I know that will hate that pick. Now, next up, Dallas again. Could go with Avion Terrell here. He'll play your nickel. You put Deron Bland on the outside or vice versa. But I could also see we're going to reach. In my opinion, it's a massive reach because CJ Allen, we're going to go linebackers, and we're going to go our big board. CJ Allen is 43rd on our big board. I am just not as big of a fan as some people are, but he is 30th on this big board. We're going to reach on linebacker because we can't move. But in a real draft, I think they move and still pick CJ Allen is how I kind of look at it. So they go CJ Allen, Philly here. Let's go safety. Oh, man. Why isn't Emmanuel McNeil-Warren on the board? Okay, so we're going safety, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. No questions asked. Dylan Thieneman went already, but McNeil-Warren is an absolute stud. They need a safety. We're going to flip the draft and go safety this time around because we didn't last time. Now, the Giants, they went Carnell Tate, so they do not need a wide receiver. They could go corner here. I think corner makes some sense. Brandon Cisse or Colton Hood. I'm higher on Colton Hood personally. I think they went they went Sonny Styles and then Colton Hood, didn't they, last time? So I can't go Colton Hood. What's position? Blake Miller makes some sense to play right tackle for them. I know they need interior offensive linemen, but, figure out who plays guard. But Blake Miller and Luminor play right tackle. Possible. They don't really need edge. Maybe they go Max, actually. So I've kind of driven this home a little bit on some of the other drafts, but Maxie Hanashore is a project. And so he needs a couple years or maybe a year of not starting to really get it figured out. Blake Miller's 4-year starter since his freshman year at Clemson. He's ready to play today, but he does not have the same upside Max has. So let's go Max and hope that they are upside swing, which maybe you shouldn't do as a New York Giant fan, but I'm not a fan of the New York Giants. That's all I'm saying. But as a New York Giant GM or something, you might not want to take the upside swing because that's kind of what you did with Evan Neal. But we're going to do it with Maxie Hunshore here. And then next up, I think it's Philly. Yeah, so Philly, we went Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, we flipped it on its head. We could now do a lot of other things. I mean, wide receiver is an option here. I don't know. Chris Brazzell, I think that's a lot of fun, first off. And then what else did we say we needed? So we needed that, possibly a replacement for Lane Johnson long-term, D-tackle, edge. So, okay, so there's some options. Edge-wise, Malachi Lawrence is ready to play now, but he's not that great against the run. We talked about it a little bit. Let's go Chris Brazzell. He makes some sense. I like him a lot, too. He's a lot higher on our board. Philly again. Now, you might want to take the edge here. Derek Moore or Joshua Josephs. I mean, they kind of like this style of player. I'm just saying, Nolan Smith is that guy already. 42 and just jumps out of his stance, just flies off the ball. Yeah, I think that's probably my pick. I can't go Max Clare. He's my pick, truly. Max Clare is the pick, but I can't go him because we already did that. So we're going to go Joshua Josephs, a guy that I have much higher on our board. Jeremiah Love went to the Washington Commanders first. They need defense. Whatever defense you think they need it. I'm kind of sad. Oh, no. All right, I had it wrong. They could go Derek Moore. Who's on defense here? Let's see. Edge, D-line, linebacker, corner, safety. All of them. Pick one, right? I like Kamari Ramsey a lot. He could make some sense on this team. I don't dislike their secondary, funny enough. Will Harris, Nick Cross, Quan Martin. Yeah, I don't think we're going to go with secondary. I don't hate that. I think their edge position is the one I want to go with, like a Derek Moore, because they will be graduating basically their whole edge group behind Owe, who's on a 4-year deal. Derek Moore could help that. Their interior defensive line you could go with, but I think Derek Moore is my guy out of this group, so we're going to Derek Moore. I just don't think they need secondary right now. And then Dallas. Well, of course, Kyle Lewis is on the board when I pick a linebacker. But, I mean, he's a coverage linebacker. I think you need a tackler, a guy that can, play somewhat in the box. So Kyle Lewis might not have made sense. He actually probably makes more sense now that we already have CJ Allen. You can get a second linebacker that's next to Overshown, going in and out and playing some Sam and stuff like that to play that nickel spot, be a little bit bigger. So they need corner. So Davis Igbinosun, he's a grabby guy, but he's a good player. They're not going offensive tackle. They're probably not going tight end. I already went offensive tackle. Ted Hurst to replace George Pickens when he throws a fit. It's possible. But I'm probably going to go Davis Igbinosun here. Let's go see what other corners are on the board, but I'm pretty sure Davis Igbinosun. Yeah, not even close. Okay, Davis Igbinosun it is. And now Philly, let's go back to all positions. They picked a safety, a wide receiver, and an edge. Their wide receiver and edge are on the same team. We're from the same team. That's cool. I hate watching Tennessee film, though. If y'all ever watch Tennessee film, just get ready for a nightmare. We're going to go tight end, I believe. There's so many tight ends here, but I think the guy that's perfect for them is Oscar Delp. I just think he fits what they do. And he's going to have more production in the NFL than he did in college. So Oscar Delp is going to be the tight end of the future, technically, because everybody's on a free agent for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, Dallas went Spencer Fano, 5 position flexibility, going to end up starting over for Terrence Steele at the end of the day. CJ Allen is a reach, but at the end of the day, they have to have a linebacker, in my opinion. And then Davison Igbinosun to add to that cornerback room for health reasons, of course, too. Like, it's not just, all of that. So let's go over to the Giants. Carnell Tate. Man, the Giants really do a good job. If they had a third rounder, I mean, you might give him an A, but like Carnell Tate and Maxi Honchor, both really good football players at good spots. Like, yeah, no problems there. And then Philly, we flipped on its head. We went safety first. We're not going to go safety first again, obviously. Chris Brazzell, Joshua Joseph, but 2 Tennessee players, and then Oscar Delp. I think he fits perfectly for them. And then finally, the Washington Commanders. They go Notre Dame, they go Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame and Derek Moore from Michigan. Yep, I think Jeremiah Love is the perfect pick for Washington if they falls to him. So that's the trick, right? Getting the guy to fall to you. All right, so new draft. Let's start her up. Now, let's see who falls this time. Sonny Styles goes at 4. The Giants have gone everything but corner, I believe. So they went receiver, and I don't remember what else they went. What else did they go? Oh, they went, did they go offensive line? No, I don't think they did. Okay, so they went then Sonny Styles. That was why. Okay, so we're going to go corner or offensive line here, basically is what happened. Mansur Delane is on the board, but I'm thinking we're going to go offensive line, actually. We're going to put Francis Mauigoa at guard. I think that's the trick, right? They need an interior offensive lineman. They need someone to start this right guard spot. So put Mauigoa in there, and then when Illuminor's gone, move him to right guard or right tackle. And I think that makes some sense. I'm actually higher on Spencer Fano, but I think that Mauigoa's best position is that guard. So we're going to do that. Now here, Jeremiah Love fell again. I don't remember who we took David Bailey. So we're going to go with a receiver, Carnell Tate out of Ohio State. Guess what? Terry McLaurin's from Ohio State, Scary Terry. So why not pair them together and give Jane Daniels another real weapon vertically? I think it makes some sense. Let's do it. Next up is Dallas. Dallas needs someone to fall. Not named Jermon McCoy. Guess who fell? Jermon McCoy. They're just not, I mean, the edges and the linebackers, Arvo Reese going to 6 is crazy, but like they're not going to fall. They're just not falling to you. So Dallas, you're either going to move up or you're going to get screwed. So makes it a little bit more difficult. You could say Reddy Stewart should not be starting for you. Let's see what their love is for Reddy Stewart on here, actually. Defensive backs, that's a lot of silver. Wow. I didn't expect that much silver, honestly. But Ray Lewis isn't one of them. Ray Stewart's not one of them. That's funny. But I was going to say, you could put Emmanuel McNeil Warren on this team to play that nickel spot, because I think that's what he's going to be best at. So you could say, hey, let's put him in there. Someone is going to start at nickel, not named Reddy Stewart, basically, in my opinion. Man, this is tough, because we can't go linebacker. I mean, we can't go corner. We can't go right tackle, but we're not going to do that. Man, Dallas, you make it so hard on me. Let's go Emmanuel McNeil Warren and say he's going to play the nickel. I know they brought in a bunch of safeties, guys, but this is a pick, like a positional pick. Dallas again. Man, let's see. Dylan Thieneman, Akeem Mesidor. I'm not going Mesidor this time. This is tough. I reached on CJ Allen last time. Dallas, you're making it hard on me. I think in the real draft, they're going to move around. They're going to add picks. They're going to do this or that. So it's really hard to just predict like this. But at the same time, let's go Caden McDonald. No, wait. What did they run the 3-4 and their position of need is Kenny Clark. Yeah, we're going Caden McDonald. You can't get a linebacker. We're going to get the next best thing, which is the top run stopping defensive tackle in the class. That is what Caden McDonald is. Pair him with Quentin Williams, like just stop people from running the ball on the interior. That is why you can play a 3-4 and put more athletes on the field, is because you have guys like that. And of course, Kenny Clark does it really well. Well, Caden McDonald is the next thing. Now, Philly, when Casey Concepcion, I don't think we went Akeem Mesidor yet. Where did we go? Oh, in safety. So we're going to go Akeem Mesidor this time, because he's going to be our fix-it guy on the edge for the run-stopping ability. He's not the best, but he's not the worst, and he's better than what they have now for sure. Okay, so now the Giants, they went Francis Mauigoa. They can literally go receiver, corner. I think Cisse makes some sense. Receiver's not to be found, so we're not doing that here. They could go linebacker. No linebackers fell, so we're going to go Cisse. I mean, why overthink it, right? I'm higher on Keith Abney, but we're going to go Brandon Cisse for the upside swing. Next up is going to be, I think it's Philly. Yeah, so Philly, they went edge, Hakeem Mesidor. They could go receiver and look at, replacing. They could go Eli Stowers because I do believe in the fact that they might bring back a blocking tight end and let Eli Stowers play the big slot type role. And at the same time, he's a receiver. So you might just say, hey, he's a receiver. A.J. Brown, we don't really need another guy if we do Eli Stowers. So let's go with Eli Stowers here. R. Mason Thomas still being on the board. I think he'll be gone at that point, but let's go Eli Stowers. The next pick is Philly again. We've gone Eli Stowers, Hakeem Mesidor. They're not going to go wide receiver if they go Eli Stowers, in my opinion. So, safety. We're going to go safety. We're going to pick Kamari Ramsey. Mother trucker, you've got to be kidding me. He went one pick before. Okay, that sucks. Zakee Wheatley's the guy I like more. I'm not as high on Bud Clark. A lot of people are, but he's just a gambler that misses too much for me. Zakee Wheatley is just good at everything. Not great at anything, but good at everything. And it kind of falls off after that. You could go Genesis Smith if you just want a guy that just plays coverage. So I wouldn't be against that. I actually have Genesis Smith higher on our board. And that's because he's just a good coverage player. But at the same time, I don't know that that's what this team wants. I think they want guys that can tackle. Zakee Wheatley is he can tackle real well. So let's go with him. Let's go ahead and look. Washington went wide receiver first time around. Probably going to be going defense next. Derek Moore is on the board here. They could go Max Clare. They brought in Chig, but I don't think that stops them from drafting a tight end. Definitely need an edge for later on, but that's not necessarily the biggest position. I think linebacker is interesting. If you go Kyle Lewis and add a third linebacker to what they have already, because they have Liam Chanel. Oh, but he's a coverage linebacker. Okay. Love is a coverage linebacker. Not linebacker then. Let's see. Extra edge. Dominique Orange is interesting. Defensive lineman. Corner, man. I'm just not there. They need corner like that. Okay, so what we're going to do, I think I picked Derek Moore earlier for them. So we're not going to go there. We're going to go with Dominique Orange and give them, wait. Am I doing that right? Is that the right team? Oh, no, they have Ron Payne and Javon. Okay, I had the wrong team. So this is tough. Someone in the chat, or someone is watching this and being like, it's obvious, it's that guy. It's not that guy. It's not that obvious, I mean. Let's go ahead and go with Max Clare. Long term, you signed 2 tight ends to this team. Now you just have athletes. You just basically picked all the studs from the Ohio State team. And maybe it's not the most like normalized pick, but I think they're going to want guys that can play that position. Dallas went Caden McDonald and, you know what? Yeah, Caden McDonald and Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. So they have nickel and run stopping defensive lineman. I'm going to go Kyle Lewis and add a linebacker, but it's a weird, he's just not perfect for this team. He doesn't necessarily fit. Man, Dallas, again. So with Overshone and Shamar James, I think you could put Kyle Lewis on the field like a lot in sub packages, man. And just get him out there and just let him run because he runs like the wind. What are you running his 40? Like 4.5, yeah, 4.53. Like he's fast. He's an athlete, gets out and moves around, can cover. But you literally just picked Emmanuel McNeil-Warren to play the same position, and you're not Seattle. It's tough. They need edge, but I don't know if they're going to want to deny Dennis Sutton. He's kind of like what they got in Rashawn Gary now. Less bend, not as explosive as a pass rusher, but good pass rusher, not explosive like the other guys. So, Garrett Nussmeier, you're just going to replace Stack one day. Let's see. I just don't know that tight end is their biggest need. I don't think that. I mean, I get what they're trying to get at, but let's go ahead because I'm higher on Dennis Sutton technically, even knowing he might not fit perfectly with this team. You're going to find ways to get him on the field because he just finds the ball. Let's go with Dennis Sutton. This is a much harder division than some of the other ones I've done. Okay, so edge, Hakeem Mesidor, Eli Stowers at tight end, and Zakee Wheatley. For safety, now we kind of just go get the best player available. This might be a position where they get an outside receiver like a Ted Hurst. I know that we went Eli Stowers, and I said they're not going to pick a wide receiver, but if Ted Hurst is on the board, they might do that. Kyle Lewis is still on the board. They could say, hey, go play some nickel. Zakee Wheatley's going to do that, though. What am I saying? Yeah, let's go Ted Hurst because they already went tight end, so we're going to go Ted Hurst. All right. Just saying, this is a much harder division in my opinion. Now that I look at how hard it was to draft for, like Dallas is tough every single round because they're going to have to move around. Philly doesn't have a lot of holes. So let's talk about Dallas. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, they're going to play him in nickel. Caden McDonald to stop the run. Dunnight and a Sutton to help with that edge room. And then the Giants, they go Francis Mauigoa and Brandon Cisse. That actually, okay, the Giants are by far the easiest to draft for. That's not even a question. My gosh. And then you go to the Eagles. The Eagles went Akeem Mesidor, Eli Stowers, because they have to have tight end. Zakee Wheatley, they have to have safety. And then Ted Hurst. So I actually thought this was a pretty good group right here. I think Eagles are hard to draft for, but much easier than Dallas. And then Washington actually was super easy to draft for. Cardinal Tate, Max Clare. Now this might not be the right style of doing this. I think this round 3 pick is going to be really tough, just depending on what you did with that first round pick. Because if this was, say, Ruben Bain, I wouldn't even think twice about taking Max Clare and giving you another athlete and pass catcher. When you take 2, it's a little bit more different. But that was a good one. That was a tough division, man. I had a much harder time with that division than the other ones I've done so far because there's just so many question marks and variables. And AJ Brown might be moved on from, and Dallas has, really they're going to move around their picks to make the best optimal picks for, linebacker, because linebacker early second round is where you want to get those guys. That was tough. Washington has a ton of needs on defense, but you're still picking offensive players at the beginning. So a lot of fun stuff, but this is the type of thing you're going to be watching on, these GMs go through on draft day. And they're just like thinking. And it's like, oh my gosh, sometimes maybe they even miss their chance to pick. I've seen that before. That happened a while back. First rounder got missed and then they had to take the pick after. But I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. If you like the video, please like, subscribe, and comment on this video if you thought I did well or poorly. I would not be mad at you if you said I did poorly. It's not going to hurt my feelings, but tell me why. Talk to me about it. But I appreciate y'all hanging out with me and getting to this point in the video. And if you haven't yet, like I said, go check out First and 10. Awesome. They have a podcast and then also the website. So I appreciate y'all, and I will see y'all on the next one.